What's up, everybody? Welcome to week 10 here on the 52 Horrific Weeks in 1988 series. I am, of course, your host, Moon616, and thank you once again for dropping in. Alrighty, guys, week 10 is here. The remaining films went into the randomizer. Hit that random button like I do every week, and we've got Cheerleader Camp, also known as Bloody Pom-Poms. I think Bloody Pom-Poms is a way better title. I really enjoy that one, actually. I will say that, don't mind the Escape from the Bronx DVD that's in there. The cover, I like the name for that, but I do prefer this cover art for Cheerleader Camp. Bloody Pom-Poms just sounds awesome. It sounds very 80s. Yeah, Cheerleader Camp, getting into the plot of this one. It's not really much of a plot to this film, to be honest. It's basically just about this cheerleading squad that are going off to this cheerleading camp. And basically what it is, it's almost like a competition at this camp here. And the winning team basically goes to like the state finals, to represent your school and stuff like that. So, but of course, as they're there, some people start getting picked off one by one. It's kind of like, it's a total mystery of who the killer is and why they're doing it and stuff. So that's basically the premise of the film right there. It's, your very typical, very stereotypical slasher storyline. Now my thoughts on this one. This one has quite the interesting cast in it. Actually, it's starring Betsy Russell. She's probably most famous for starring in, I think, pretty much from part 3 to part 7 of the Saw films. I think she's in like all those films. You got Leif Garrett, who plays her boyfriend in the film. He's kind of a fucking douchebag, kind of an asshole kind of character. He was a pretty popular person actually back in the 80s, but he's okay in this film. The interesting thing about the cast in this movie is that everyone's supposed to be in like high school, but they're all clearly like in their late 20s. It's pretty funny. It's got an interesting blend of, it's got like random Playboy centerfolds and people that turn into porn stars in this film. With that said, the acting in this film, not really the greatest. The dialogue's actually pretty bad too. There's a lot of really campy, cheesy dialogue. You got your main character, played by Betsy Russell. She's the leader of the cheerleader camp, and she starts to have like all these crazy kind of nightmares and visions and stuff. Now the weird thing is you don't really know why she's having all these. It's just kind of thrown in there to kind of develop the story and the plot twist at the end of the film and stuff. It's not a very well made film, to be honest, but it's got some kind of charm to it. It's got that 80s charm to it. It's got a lot of cliche characters. It's got the bimbos, but it has a lot of likable characters in the film too. One of the male cheerleaders in the representing the school, he's like this really big fat dude. His name is Timmy Moser in the film, and he's basically the comic relief of the film. Not only because he's like he's actually really obese, he's huge, but he's actually kind of funny. His one-liners are pretty good. He's a very likable character. But yeah, it's got a lot of the girls and that are in the film, not the greatest actors, kind of cheesy. But this movie has a charm that's very likable. Like I said, it's got that 80s charm to it. I wish, the interesting thing, I was counting the kills in this film. I believe it was 9. I could be wrong. There's about 9 kills in this film. The kills aren't overly the greatest. A couple of them happen in like dream sequences and stuff like that. There's one really good one with a pair of garden shears. I think that's probably the best kill in the film. So not overly gory, but I will say that part was actually pretty fucking sweet. It's just it's a very stereotypical kind of cliched slasher film. That's kind of likable, I wouldn't recommend this to someone that doesn't really like slasher films that much. If you really like the 80s, this one's definitely one to check out. The fucking hairstyles, the bikinis, the clothes, everything in this film is just so 80s. It has some really bad moments in it though. Like there's a scene where Timmy Moser and Leif Garrett's character, they basically start doing this rap while the female cheerleaders are doing their routine and stuff. It's so fucking bad and cheesy, but it's actually really hilarious. But overall, it's just a silly slasher film with with a twist in the end that's kind of like, okay, totally sets it up for sequel. Apparently there was a sequel to this film. I think it's a lost film. I don't think it was ever released. Yeah, so I can't remember. I think it actually went by a different title. I don't think it was like Cheerleader Camp 2 or nothing, but yeah, anyways, you know, I recommend this film, you know, loosely. You know, if I had to rate it, I'd probably just give it like a 6 out of 10. It's nothing special. It doesn't really have like the greatest atmosphere. It does have some, it's got some pretty nice shot sequences in it though, I will say. And it does have a fair share of boobs in it too, which is kind of nice, you know, hence there being like some Playboy models and penthouse models and future porn stars. You are going to get that. So it's got everything in this movie. It's got bad dialogue. It's got bad acting. It's got decent kills. You know, the score's not overly great in this one, though. That was kind of a letdown. You know, in these 80s films, I really look for that, you know, the really cheesy, bad 80s music and stuff, but, you know, it kind of fits it. But, I mean, there is some, but it's not the greatest. But, you know, I don't know. Cheerleader Camp, seek it out. I know the DVD's out of print now, released by Anchor Bay. I think you can still find this for relatively cheap. If you like this type of films, definitely seek it out. You know, it is what it is, man. It's an 80s slashers film from the later 80s, of course, from 1988. So, yeah, I will say, like, all the girls in this film are smoking fucking hot, though. Very cool. So I don't really know what else to say about Cheerleader Camp. You know, it's a really, really bad, campy film that's enjoyable. That's basically what it comes down to. Yeah, so, anyways, guys, that's going to do it here for week 10. I will see you guys next week. And I did want to note, though, after the first 10 weeks, I still haven't had a sequel come up, which is so bizarre because there's a lot of sequels in my, you know, if you guys watched the intro before this, there's quite a few. I think there's at least over a dozen sequels, I swear, that are, you know, in my list of films, and not one has come up yet, so I find that pretty interesting. So, I am going to be holding random contests throughout the rest of the year here. Basically, it's going to be as simple as, you know, if you can fucking randomly pick what's going to be reviewed on certain weeks and stuff, get you something. Just stupid shit like that. Keep you guys, you know, interested in the series and stuff. But I'm having a lot of fun with this. A lot of campy films from 1988, so it's going to be a fun year. So, Cheerleader Camp, guys. I got to get the fuck out of here, though. Peace.